In this video, we're going to look at least common multiple, which is also referred to as the wipeout method. This will help us to solve multi-step equations with rational numbers. So the first thing we want to do is review what least common multiple is. So the least common multiple of two or more numbers is the smallest number that's not 0 that is a multiple of both. So for this first one here, I said, what is the least common multiple of 3 and 4? So what we want to do is write out all of the multiples, which I've already done. So 0, 3, 6, 9, that means 0 times 3, 1 times 3, 2 times 3, 3 times 3, and so on. And then same with 4, 0 times 4, 1 times 4, 2 times 4, 3 times 4, and so on. So those are the multiples of 3 and 4. So what we want to do is figure out which ones are the smallest, that are the common one between both of them. So here what we have are 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, and 0, 4, 8, 12. So it looks like 12 is the smallest one that is a multiple of both. Now if we kept going, we'd have 24 here, and those would be common multiples, but they would not be the least common multiple. So I'd like for you to pause the video and figure out what the multiples of 3 and 9 are. Okay, so we have 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, and so on. And then for 9, we'll have 0, 9, 18, 27, 36. So we want to figure out which numbers are the least common multiple. So the smallest number for both of these lists. So the smallest number that is the common one is 9. So that is the least common multiple of 3 and 9. So for this problem, we're going to want to find the least common multiple between the denominators of all of our fractions. So this will give us the ability to cross-cancel or cross-simplify so that we don't have any numbers on the bottom. So our least common multiple here is going to be 6. So least common multiple equals 6. And this way we can multiply every single thing by 6. So I'm going to first start by doing -1 over 3 times 6 over 1. This will become 1 and this will become 2. And we're going to be left with a -2. When we multiply j over 6 by 6 over 1, we end up with just j. And then when we multiply 10 over 3 times 6 over 1, we can cross simplify this to be 1 and 2, dividing both of them by 3, and we'll end up with 20. So the goal of multiplying all of these by 6, the least common multiple, is to get rid of the fraction. So by doing this, we can cancel out what's in the denominator, just leaving the numerator and leaving us with whole numbers. So now we can actually solve this equation, -2 equals j minus 20. It is the same equation. It's going to give us the same answer. We've just changed everything to make it more manageable. So what we're going to do is add 20 to both sides, right? We want to get that j by itself. And we'll end up with j equals 18. And that is our answer. So this one here, we want to figure out the least common multiple between 6, 12, and 3 so that we can multiply by the same number, leaving us with all whole numbers. So go ahead and figure out what the least common multiple is. Pause the video and then come back. Okay, so you should have gotten 12 as your least common multiple. 6, 12, and 3 all go into 12, and it's the smallest number that is common between all of them. So we're going to multiply everything here by 12. If we multiply 5 over 6 by 12 over 1, we can cross simplify to get 1 and 2 by dividing by 6, and we'll get 10. So this here will be 10 equals, if we do the same thing for x over 12 times 12 over 1, we're just left with x. And then 9 over 3 times 12 over 1. We can cross simplify this to get 1 and 4. And this will give us 36. Make sure that you're using the same signs when you're doing these problems. So you want to be consistent. So in order to solve this equation now, we can add 36 to both of our sides. And we're left with 46 equals x. So what can we multiply decimals by in order to make them all a whole number? So let's do a little bit of exploring. So for this first one, we have what is 0.5 times 10. So if we did this the traditional way and we did 10 times 0.5, we would get 0. 5 times 1 is 5, and we'd have to put in one decimal place, right? So multiplying that 0.5 by 10 gives us a whole number. Now what if we want to multiply a number that has two decimal places? So 0.25 times 10, we would have zeros all across the top, and then on the bottom we'd have 1 times 5 is 5, 1 times 2 is 2, and then we can add all of that up. So we'll get 250, and then we'll have to put in two decimal places because we originally had 2 up above. So this will give us 2.5. So that doesn't quite give us a whole number, but if we look down at the bottom here, if we do 0.25 times 100, we would have 0, 0, 5, 0, 0, 0, 2. So we'd have 2500 when we add those up, and we'd have to put back in two decimal places, and that would give us a whole number. That would give us 25. So now this tells us that we have to look at the place value when we're trying to multiply decimals to get a whole number in order to simplify an equation. So when we are in the tens place, so for the first one, if you have 0.5, you're trying to make that into a whole number, you'd multiply by 10, so times 10. If you have a decimal that goes into the hundredths place, you would multiply times 100, right? It's in the name, 100, 10. And if you have a number that goes into the thousandths place and you want to turn that into a whole number, you would multiply by 1,000. All right, so let's try this out on the next slide. Okay, so we have a problem here, and we're hoping that we can make all of these numbers whole numbers to make it easier on ourselves. So we're going to multiply everything here by some number, either 10, 100, 1,000, just by looking at the decimal places. So it looks like the decimal place that goes out the furthest goes out to the hundredths place. So that means we'll want to multiply everything here by 100. So we're going to multiply everything by 100. 0.25 multiplied by 100 gives us 25. 1.45 multiplied by 100 gives us 145x. And 1.2 multiplied by 100 gives us 120. Okay, so now all we have to do is simplify this. So we'll subtract 25 from both sides, and we'll end up with 145x is equal to 95. So we are going to want to divide both sides by 145 so we can get x by itself. So we'll end up with x equals 95 over 145. But we can actually simplify this. If we divide the top and the bottom by 5, 95 divided by 5 is going to be 19. And then 145 divided by 5 is going to be 29. So our answer is x equals 19 over 29.